So, every gamer out there has experienced that joy of finally completing that game that they have been playing for the last few weeks, months, or even years. However, there is also a smaller subsection of gamers who, as soon as they have finished a game, they will instantly go and check the trophies to see how many they have unlocked. So you immediately think whether you should commit fully to this game and go for the platinum in it, and you then start to think about all the cool moments and how much fun you actually had while playing it, because you did enjoy it. But unfortunately, you have that little niggling feeling in the back of your mind as you start to remember all of those bullshit areas of the game, all those things that caused you some grief or made you rage. Maybe it was a tricky boss fight, or maybe it was a bullshit moment in the game, or just a really boring part that you didn't really enjoy, but the overall experience was great. You see, there's a risk sometimes when going for a platinum in a game you enjoy, as it could actually be an even worse experience grinding out those last few trophies, particularly if they're really bullshit or grindy ones. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it going for the platinum? Thankfully, I'm here to help you decide whether you should play it, plat it, or just downright avoid it. That one bullshit platinum trophy unlocked. Getting the Platinum Trophy in Control on PS4 will net you a total of 47 trophies, which includes 3 golds, 9 silvers and 34 bronze trophies. And best of all, you can complete the game knowing that none of these trophies are missable, as you can explore the environment in the end game, so to speak. So after the credits rolled on my first playthrough, I had already unlocked 67% of the trophies, which I thought was pretty good, to be honest, as it meant I unlocked 2 out of the 3 golds, 4 out of the 9 silvers and 27 out of the 34 bronze trophies available in the game. And I think 67% is a good sort of place to be in, as it doesn't leave you with much left to mop up. And if I'm honest, I wasn't really going for any particular trophy when I first played through the game. I was just doing it casually, unlocking trophies as I went along. So the game has a total of 10 main missions for you to play through in order to finish the story, and upon completing every single mission, you'll be rewarded with a bronze trophy, with a gold being saved for the 10th and final mission. So you can easily get a large chunk of them by just playing through the missions, and none of them are overly hard, to be fair, so it's pretty straightforward in what you have to do. The more trickier ones are for the side missions, which we'll talk about later. So completing the missions isn't the only sort of progression trophies that will just naturally unlock as you're playing through, as you also get a bunch of trophies tied to the powers that Jessie can unlock as she goes through the game. So these are for your telekinesis ability, so you can pick up objects with your mind and throw them. You also get one for learning the evade ability, which allows you to just dodge quickly side to side. Another for learning how to use rocks to build a shield and protect yourself from enemy fire. You get one for an ability to mind control enemies, so you can possess them and take them over. And there's also one for your levitate ability that you get later on in the game, which allows you to just sort of hover and sort of fly around, which is pretty useful, to be honest. Another bunch of trophies that I think you would unlock naturally while playing are the ones related to discovering the control points throughout the game. Now these are sort of the areas where it's like a sort of checkpoint, and it will save your progress, so you definitely need to go to these. They also are quite handy because they give you a fast travel location, so you can jump to this area on the map whenever you want, as long as you've discovered the location. It's just a case of running up to it, holding down the button, and it will cleanse the area. And then you can access your options menu in here, so you can do your upgrades and things like that. The trophies relate to discovering so many, with the third trophy for this set being discovering 25. I think it's something like 5, 10, and then 25 or something like that. So you'll be getting a couple of these as you go through the game. Best of all as well though, there's more than 25 in the actual game, so you don't need to make sure you go to every single one. If they're off the path and maybe related to some of the side missions or whatever, you don't need to worry about getting every single one, because you can just get the ones in the story that you'd naturally go to, as long as you're looking out for them and you see them in the area, usually highlighted by the red darkness. And there's a few of them that you need to get anyway, because you can't progress, because maybe the corruption from the mold or whatever the hiss has blocked the area, so you need to cleanse it before you can actually progress further. Usually when these are occurring, you have to clear out all the enemies in the area as well, but for the most part these are a fairly easy collectible type of trophy for you to get, and not really one that you need to be worrying about. Now, control doors unfortunately have quite a few collectibles for you to pick up, so there's lots of files and items for you to find in the environment that you just run up and pick up. I think you need to get a total of 150 altogether to get the final trophy of this set, because like the other collectible type trophies, there's a few different ones for various stages of your collection. So it might be like I think it's like 50 and a lower one than that, and then the final 151. So you'll get a series of trophies for these collectibles. But to be honest, again, like the control points, there's way more collectibles in the environment than the ones you need for the trophy, so you should at least get very close to getting all of these if you just go into every area and just pick up what you see. Luckily it will be highlighted by a little button prompt, so you can easily spot them anyway, and some of it will also be given to you just as you go through the story. So it's a collectible trophy that really isn't a problem, to be honest. It's quite a good one. The Paranatural Collection Trophy requires you to get 100,000 source, and this is the game's sort of currency. It's what the enemies will drop when you kill them, and initially 100,000 does sound like a lot, but the enemies are quite generous with what they drop, so you'll easily get this without really trying to go for it, to be honest. So it's another easy one. The service weapon that you have in the game can also be upgraded, so you can change the gun into different types, like a shotgun or a sniper rifle, and that will give you one trophy for that. You also need to upgrade a gun type all the way up to level 3, so you need to make sure you're picking up all the mods in the chests that can be found in the game. So this one might take you a little while, but it's something you'll easily get as you go through. Just remember to go into the control points and then mod it from there, because that is how you access the menu. You also need to open up all the chests to get all the little parts and components that you need, and it also ties into the source that we're going to gather off enemies, because you need to spend that on them as well. So if you just pick one weapon that you like and upgrade that and ignore the others, you'll be fine. So the next trophy we're looking at is the Interdimensional Defender Trophy, which requires you to kill 1,000 hiss. And again, like the other trophy for the 100,000 source, that initially seems like quite a high number, but there's an abundance of enemies in this game, and if you're going for the platinum, you'll easily get this without trying again. So it's not really one to be concerned about at all, because you will be killing loads and loads of enemies in a variety of ways. So this is another easy and simple trophy that you can just ignore, and it will just pop naturally while you're playing, which is always good. So as well as the 1,000 kills trophy, there are also specific trophies relating to kills with the various powers that Jesse has, and these are the ones that you might have to just keep an eye on and try and remember to do them. There's ones for things like using the launch ability to pick up an item and throw it into someone. There's another trophy where you need to possess so many enemies and have them kill other enemies. So that's one that you might not necessarily always use that power when you're playing, but it's something that if you get to the end of the game and you just need to get this one, it's an easy one that you can do. Just find a bunch of enemies, take their one's health down to quite a low amount, and then you can possess him by holding square. So that's an easy one. Some do require you to actually upgrade certain paths on your ability point tree. So there's one where you have to throw back a grenade or a rocket with your telekinesis, and that's something you'll need to learn, so you'll have to spend some upgrade points on that one. And then there's another one called Volatile Debris, which is a move you can do with the shield, but you need to be able to push the rocks away, so that's an upgrade you'll need to buy. And that was probably the trickiest one of the lot of these like kill with X thing type trophies, because this one just didn't seem to always register a kill. I don't know what was going on, but there was a few times where I felt like I threw the rocks and killed more enemies than what the trophy required me to do, to be honest. And it's quite weak as well early on, so if you're going to try and do it, just be aware that it will take a lot of rocks to kill them. So you're probably better off like shooting them with your grip pistol first to chip away at their health, and then just throw the rocks at them for the last 1 or 2 hits. That's sort of what I did, and that seemed to work a bit better, but I do feel like I had to throw it out more than the actual requirement for the trophy. But again, it's not really that hard to do, and you can just do it naturally. So now it's time to talk about an annoying sort of set of trophies, and now the 2 that relate to the bureau alerts, which are sort of these like random live events that can occur while you're playing, and they'll usually be somewhere either on the floor you're on or a different floor, and you'll have to go there and try and complete the mission within a time limit. So I think you get 1 trophy first on the scene for completing 1 bureau mission, and then you'll get another one, silver trophy, called Crisis Management, for completing 5 bureau alerts. And what makes these annoying is that they're just random when they can trigger. So you could get this triggering while you're just randomly exploring for collectibles, or it could appear as you're like midway through a main story mission. So it's always a bit awkward when they appear, because it's like, well, do I just drop what I'm doing and try and get to this mission in time and complete it? Because there's a time limit to them. I think they're only active for like 15 minutes or so, and then they just get failed automatically. So if you don't get there in time and complete it in time, you kind of lose it, and you have to just wait again for it to trigger. So this is one that you definitely want to try and do this as soon as you see them appear. I would say try and do them even if you are in a story mission. Just get to a control point and teleport to where it is, because you don't really want to leave these until the end game, because you could be in for like a long tedious wait for one to trigger, and then waiting again for another one to trigger. So thankfully there is only 5 of them that you need to do, but it's still a bit of an annoying one to do, especially if you die, because you don't get another chance to do it, so you'll just have to wait for the randomly generated time for when another one will trigger. So they are a bit annoying, and it's definitely one to sort of keep an eye out for when they appear, and just try and get them done as quick as possible. Most of the missions are just kill X amount of enemies, but sometimes you'll get ones where you have to destroy so many nodes or mold or collect certain things, but you have some enemies in the environment to try and stop you. So it does kind of mix the missions up a little bit, but they're not that exciting, to be honest. So as well as those bureau alerts, there are also some more traditional side missions that you can do either during the main story or after it, because none of them are missable and you won't get locked out if you do them late or early, so you haven't really got to worry there. The side missions are actually not that bad, to be fair. There's a nice decent mixture, and none of them are really that hard or anything, so it's not like they're really tough, and you can sort of do them at any time. Probably the hardest thing is just finding the mission giver, because it's not always obvious where they are. Some are actually just hanging up on notice boards in the janitor's office, while others you'll find like people in the executive place or in other areas you might go to. There's like Dr. Underhill down in like the sewery type bit, I think, maintenance or something. So there's a few characters that you'll meet on the story, but you have to remember where they are to go back and get the side missions off them. And like the other trophies in this game, this one is like part of a set, so you'll get I think it's like one for completing the first side mission, another for completing so many, and then the final trophy for completing 15 side missions. So I think there are actually a couple more than the 15, because I'm sure I got this before I finished all the side missions. So if there is one that you can't do because you're struggling on it, you could always try and do the other ones that are remaining. So it's a fairly easy set of trophies, this, because some missions are just over pretty much straight away, and the hardest part is actually just getting to the location. So the War Games Bronze Trophy and the Astral Tactician Silver Trophy require you to complete 5 and then 25 board countermeasures, and when I was playing this game I didn't even have a clue of what these were, because I didn't really see any point in the game where it actually gave me like a little tutorial or explained what these were. So if you're like me, the chances are you'll kind of sort of miss out on getting these trophies for quite a while as you go into the game, because it's kind of like tucked away in the control points, which are the fast travel sections. So if you go there, the bottom option is a broad countermeasure, and these are sort of mini sort of kill type missions that you can do. So it would be like get 10 kills with the pistol, get 10 kills with the shotgun, or get a load of kills against Hiss in a certain location, things like that. Little mini challenges that you can do, but you have to go into the control point and select them to have that challenge be active, and your progress count towards it. Unfortunately, it's a bit awkward because you can only trigger 3 at a time out of a choice of I think 5, so you need to make sure you're picking the right ones for where you're heading in the game and the type of enemies and weapons that you currently have. Otherwise you'll be stuck with like a dud one that you can't really do at that point, because 25 is quite a lot and it did take me a fair while. The best thing I would say about this trophy type and these missions is that if you got ones that you don't like or you can't do, or they're just a bit awkward, you can just accept them and then cancel them, and then another one will be triggered, so you can then go back in, have a look, see what it is, and if it's still rubbish, just accept it and then abandon it. So you can just keep cycling it until you get more simple ones, like just get 10 kills with a pistol instead of ones where it tells you to go to a location or something. So some of the trophies that you'll have left over after completing the game will most likely be for killing all the game's hidden sort of bosses, and there's quite a few of these to do, and they're probably where the hardest sort of challenge of the game comes from, basically. So the first one I did was killing Jesse backwards, I don't know how the fuck you say that, the mirror version of your character, and this is actually quite a tough boss fight. It took me quite a few goes to do it. I did look online to just see a good tactic, and the best one I could see was to get onto the upper floor of this room and go into this corner and just stay there, because you can sort of hide and avoid most of the mirror Jesse's attacks, allowing you to either just launch objects down at her or use the pistol and just slowly chip away at her health. It's a cheap way to do it, but it'll save you a lot of frustrations, because I think it's the third wave of that fight. It's just really cheap. And speaking of cheap, the Astral Phenomena trophy for defeating what I like to call the fridge boss is also another really annoying boss fight. And when I was thinking of doing that one bullshit PlayStation trophy episode for Control, this was my number one contender until I got to an even worse boss fight. But this one you'll find when you go and touch the fridge, you get transported to this small dark area, and this giant boss will just appear at the side of this floating platform, and the aim is to attack its glowing eye. But the problem is you have to look up, so you'll tilt the camera up to look at this and aim and shoot at it, but the enemy has this attack where he slams down on the platform you're standing on, and he can create holes in the ground. So if you're like me, you're running around looking up at this boss to try and hit it, and you might accidentally fall through one of these holes and die. And I can't tell you how many times I did that, and it just always felt really cheap, because it was just a really clunky boss fight. My best tips for this would to go with the grip normal pistol and then the pierce one, because that can do a lot of damage. But the main attack you want to be doing is grabbing the glowing balls that the enemy will spit out, because you can launch these back at it and that will do a lot of damage to the enemy. It is a bit awkward to grab them, because you can be looking right at them and she'll just end up grabbing some rocks from behind you, which is really annoying, so that can trip you up. Once you get his health down so far, like the other bosses, he has another phase of attack. So instead of shooting those balls out, he'll just start to just randomly, constantly sort of slam down with his claw arms onto the stage, creating a really awkward bit where you need to try and dodge and evade while also avoiding the holes. And this can be where you'll probably die a lot, because you'll either fall down the hole, he'll either stomp you loads, or you'll just end up sliding off the edge of the stage when you evade. And it's quite awkward at this point to attack him, so this is where you need the normal pistol, because you can fire quickly. You won't be doing much damage, but you can at least chip away at him when he sort of stops his attack, because he sort of pauses after about 3 or 4 strikes, and that's when you want to just get a few shots in before getting ready to evade away from him and avoid those bloody holes. It will take you quite a few tries, this one, and it did start to really piss me off, but if you keep at it and keep trying, eventually you'll get it. And make sure you've got that control point just outside the room with the fridge, because then you haven't got as far to run back and trigger the mission again, because that will really start to grind on your gears as well, trust me. Thankfully, not all of these hidden bosses are hard. The Living Archetypes boss is the anchor boss, and that one wasn't actually that bad. I did die 1 or 2 times because it just caught me off guard with what his attacks were, but it's a much easier fight. So you'll have the boss in the middle, and there's like 4 sets of platforms that you can jump to on the like left, right, up and back of the room, and you just need to stand on one of these and wait for it to attack. So the enemy covers itself in like this crystal ball, and its weakness is the red glowing ball inside it. And when it's about to attack you with this devastating laser that will just kill everything on the platform, you need to just throw one of the clocks on the platform towards him. Make sure you save that larger clock on each platform, because that can do a lot more damage. And you'll notice that the ball attacks each platform in a sequence, so it sort of goes around the room clockwise. So use that to your advantage and anticipate where he's about to attack next. So if he's about to attack your platform and you need to escape, go to the next one and be ready to attack him when he moves around. At some point again in the boss fight, he will start to spawn those flying enemies that just sort of blow up as they get close to you, so be aware of them coming round. But other than that, it's not a bad boss fight, to be fair, and it's probably the easiest one of the lot of these hidden bosses. The Head of Communications trophy is probably the most obscure hidden boss in the game, I think, as you need to defeat Mr. Tomasi, and this mission is actually triggered by speaking to the woman in the boardroom of the central executive, and she'll give you this mission. So when you go to this mission, the fight takes place in this open room, and your best tactic is to stay on the very top floor, as you can sort of hide behind the metal grates that stop you from falling off, as that'll protect you from any of the enemy's attacks. And you can then levitate across to the other side, or go across the bridge whenever he spawns the henchmen to come and get you. There's that one that sort of stays invisible and only appears when it's right on top of you, so if you leave that one alive but kill all the others, you can then just fly across back and forth to the other side of the bridge every time he gets near, and that'll give you enough time to then attack the boss and whittle his health down. That was the best tactic I had for beating it, that's for sure. Now, the Aggressive Growth trophy. This is perhaps the biggest bullshit trophy in the entire game, and it's definitely the hardest one, I thought, to actually unlock, as this boss fight is just really unfair. It's so aggressive and it has so many different attacks, and it can just kill you with pretty much one hit and just take you out from nowhere. You'll be thinking you're doing fine and you'll have a little bit of his health left, and then you'll just die from some bullshit attack of it. He can like swing his arms really quick, and they can be really hard to dodge. He's also got rockets that'll fire at you. He can put poisonous gas on the floor, forcing you to jump across to the platforms or levitate. And there's also spawning henchmen mold on the floor that can just kill you and take chunks of health off you with one hit. So it's a very awkward boss fight, and it's definitely one that you want to do once you've got most of your abilities upgraded, like your levitate and the launch effectiveness. So you don't want that running out after 1 or 2 throws.
Oh my god, I did it.
But yeah, this was definitely the toughest fight.
I need
to stop being surprised by all the weird shit in this place.
Oh, a fucking joke.
So there's also a couple of trophies tied to the ability point upgrade tree that you have to upgrade. There's a total required of 100 upgrade points to be spent to unlock a couple of stages of the trophies that you'll get for doing so. And these ability points can be earned by completing the missions. So once you complete a main mission, you might get like a handful of ability points to spend. And most things in the tree cost 3 or 4 points, with a couple costing 2 and maybe the odd one costing 1, but the majority will be 3 points. So you've just got to gradually build these up. Your best ones to go for are like the maximum health, the maximum stamina, so you can throw more and evade more, and then just building up certain abilities like the shield, so you can do the attack max, and that'll get you the other trophies. There are a couple that I didn't really use, like the melee. I did one, and then I felt like I didn't really need to upgrade that because it wasn't an attack that I was doing much. So you're better off just picking the ones that you feel like you're going to use and upgrade. You can actually reset the amount, but that'll cost loads of sauce. And one of the cool things is as well, you can find hidden locations in the levels, especially once you get the levitate ability to fly up. And these will give you one additional ability point every time you find a hidden location. So if you complete all the missions and then all the side missions and you still need some more points, try and find some of those hidden locations, and that'll get you your last few. So yeah, that's probably your last trophy that you'll need to spend the 100 agility points on upgrades. But once you do that, you should then have a nice shiny platinum for control.
Ah, finally.
So I've talked through all of the trophies you'll need to get in order to unlock the Director of the FBC Platinum Trophy for Control. And now it's time for me to say, based on my experience, whether you should plat it, play it, or just avoid it and not go for the Platinum. And to be honest, I think there's only really one answer I can say with Control, and that is to plat it. Yep, that's right. I think this game is worthy of you going for a Platinum. It's a decent game. It can be a bit frustrating to navigate the environments, and that's probably the biggest annoyance, because getting around the offices is quite awkward and the map doesn't really help you, but I've got a separate video explaining all of that. But on the whole, it's actually a fairly good platinum journey. You'll get a lot of trophies just by playing through it. I think I finished with like 67%, and then the rest was just mopping up stuff afterwards. Thankfully, there's no missable trophies, and the collectible trophies that the game does have, there's a lot more collectibles than what you actually need. You don't actually have to get every single one, so you'll probably just get these naturally, or at least get quite far into the total needed to be able to just quickly mop up the rest. And I think that's always a good sign, because you're not bogged down by constantly trying to get every single collectible in every location. You can miss a few and it'd be fine, and like I said, you can go back to every area anyway, and you'll be doing that when you go and do these side missions. I would say there's a couple of annoying trophies in the game, but none that really piss you off, and none that you'll be stuck on for long. Even those two hard bosses, the fridge boss and then that mold boss, they were bullshit, especially the mold boss, but after multiple attempts of going through it, I eventually unlocked it anyway. It wasn't like I was stuck on it for days or anything like that. So yeah, definitely Platinum Control on PS4, because it's a pretty good game and it's an enjoyable platinum journey. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Super Beanie Man, and I'll see you next time.